What's going on, guys? So someone asked me on social media regarding to the previous video that I did a couple of days ago if we could change these images into black and white images. And yes, we can. I just added the button and check it out, black and white. Now this button also has a bit of an effect, so it has the same effect that this one does, a contact button, but it changes all of the images into black and white images. So this is a completely responsive web page with a mobile first design. If you want to see the video, then I will leave a link in the description below, but also if you don't want to go through the video, you will have the entire code for our previous video and also this one in the description below, so you could just download it. Okay guys, so fun project. Hey, and before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like my content, and also hit that notification bell in order to get notified when I post new videos like this. Also, if you do enjoy this video, please hit that like button. If you didn't, then dislike it. But if you do, then share it with others. Sharing means caring. Okay guys, so let's get into it. Okay, so let's start by creating a new partial. Or as I said, you can also do this in CSS. It will result the same thing. So I'm just going to call this black and white. bnw.scss. CSS. There we go. And let's also import it in our main style sheet. So let's go in here and let's type in here black and white. Okay, let's hit save. Now let's go into an HTML. We don't have much HTML to do here, but there are two things that we need to do. So our page looks like this. We have our colored images, but now we want to make them black and white. Now how can we achieve this and also change here a few things? First of all, I want to create down here a button. We need a button in order to toggle this functionality black and white on and off. So let's go into our code editor, and underneath our button, I'm going to create a label tag. Label, and this label tag will have a ID. Oh, not here. I'm going to leave the 4 in there, but I'm also going to create a ID with black and white bw-label, and within here we're just going to type in a text on black and white photos. Okay, we have a label tag done, but this label tag, let's take a look in our finished project here. This label tag right here, well, it's not going to be a label tag actually, it's going to be a button. This button will toggle something, will actually be linked up to a checkbox. Now the checkbox, this is really important, the checkbox needs to be created above the header. So above our header section, I'm going to create a input tag with a type of checkbox, and I'm also going to give it a ID. So ID of PW. Now down here in our label, when it's set, where it's set 4, this is actually what the ID is for. Hey, you should be between quotations. What are you doing? There we go. Now for the 4, we're going to copy in the ID of label. And let me show you what it is. Where's our input? There's our input. So we can click on this checkbox. It's going to be checked. But now if I click on the label, take a look at the checkbox. It's also being checked. Pretty awesome, isn't it? Now let's go back into our text editor. And actually now we can start styling this. So for the HTML, that's basically all that we need. Now I'm also going to type in here comment of start black and white photos. And let's also end the comment here. Not add root. What are you doing? Okay, now we're going to take the ID from the label, a black and white label. We're going to go into our style sheet and we're going to style it. Now, first of all, I want to give it a bit of a padding, so within it. And exactly as we had our button with 1 rem and 2 rem left and right, so 1 rem top and bottom and 2 left and right. And much of the styling is actually from the button. So if we go back into our header, I believe we had our button, all of this, and everything that we have here will be from the button. So I could just take this and copy it in here. And let's see what we got. Well, we don't like this because we want, hey, didn't you save? What's wrong with you? You just have exactly the same effect. Now, you can see we have almost the same styling for our label as we have for our button. Now, I do want have this displayed as inline block, so it's not, so it's on the same line as the button right here. But there's another way of doing this. I could delete all of this and just say extend the btn class. Let's see what happens. Hey, close up there. So let's go to our thing, and hey, well, no, we just extended all of the properties from the button class. Now the last thing that we need to do here is actually change the color of it. So we can go back into our text editor and just say color and the color of white. And let's go back in here and let's see. Perfect. Now we have a button. It has the functionality. And also, if you take a look in our generated CSS, because as I said, you could also do this with CSS. It just extends the idea of where you have it. But it extends it so there's no styling here. You could just copy the styling from the button. See, button hover, button active, all of this is then extended within here. Pretty cool, isn't it? Now let's go back and let's hide. Actually, not. We could do this. So let's take our checkbox. So the ID of black and white, which is the ID of the checkbox, and let's display it as none. And this will hide our checkbox. We don't need to see our checkbox. And actually, I also don't want to see our checkbox. The checkbox is up there, and believe me, when I click this, it is checked. And now in order to do something with our checkbox, in order that the checkbox has some kind of functionality, we can now do the ID of checkbox in the state of checked. It should do something. Now I'm going to use a selector, this curly line right here. This means everything that is preceded from this element, so the preceded element from this element will do something. And you do remember our star, which is the general selector which selects everything. When this happens, I want to give all of the elements a filter of grayscale of 100%. So let's try this out. Actually, it was checked. So when we check this button, take a look at the image. Hey, what do you know? The input is activated, so the checkbox is then checked. Let me display it. I'm going to comment this out, hit save, go back in here. You can see the checkbox is checked now. If I click on it, it's unchecked. If I click on it, it's checked. Then the functionality of grayscale is active. And if you go down in our photos, check it out. Woo! We have the black and white effect. Because if I uncheck this, the effect is gone. Pretty cool, isn't it? Now, the last thing I want to do, I want to give this a bit of a color gradient, linear gradient. So this button. Now let's go back in here. Let me hide that. And let's grab onto the label again. So this button, let's copy it in here. So only when this is checked, then we want to give this a background of linear gradient, and within the linear gradient, I'm going to insert now a couple of RGBs. So I'm going to just copy them in. I'm going to explain this very quickly to you. So it's going to be 90-degree rotated, and there's a red color, then a yellow color, a blue color, and with different intensities, okay? Now also I want this to have a border of 1 pixel and 88888, and also solid. Okay, so let's take a look at how this looks. So when this is checked, check it out. The effect is active. If it's unchecked, then the effect is gone. Pretty cool. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it.